The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. By Nature Pet Food. Slow cooked with Superfusion. Get 20% off your first order on By Nature products at Amazon with the code 20RTRS. Body Bio. Gut and brain health through science. Get 20% off Elite or anything at bodybio.com with promo code RTRS20. And, of course, Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% of your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, no Embiid, no problem, right? Just running teams off the court with Joel Embiid. Huge win over the Spurs. Worst loss in Spurs history. Of course, this is our first opportunity to talk about the Joel Embiid injury. I have a little game I want to play with Mike called Dark Side, Light Side, as we talk about yet another reevaluation in 2 weeks. A terrifying update in the Embiid tattoo saga. And we'll try it again. Michael Bivens of Belle Biv DeVoe and New Edition will join us. Michael Bivens, of course, the Philly connection with Boyz II Men. Not founded, but signed Boyz II Men. But he is a Celtics fan. So we'll be joined by Michael Bivens. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. I think we need like 150 more. Make me happy. Make CJ, our producer, happy. That's it. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who was not worried for 1 second about not having Joel Embiid on the court. That is Mike Levin.
Just a really very nice little stretch we've gone on here, isn't it?
Yeah.
A third straight. They beat the Spurs by 1,000. Mm-hmm. A third straight 20-point win. That's cool. For a team that has... I don't have the numbers on hand of what career Embiid playing is, but it's bad when he's not playing. And they just look great. They're just playing well. The vibes are good. The fans are loving the vibes. We're pumping the fans up. We're winning Frosties.
And fries.
We're freezing them out. And fries as well. Yep. I mean, it's just like... Another podcast where I just have a bunch of nice things to say about people that it's maybe not that interesting, but I'm happy to go through it. I'm happy to go through it one at a time, talk about little things I like about their games.
Oh, this is the best part of the pod. As we get to minute 39 and I look at my show rundown going right down the tubes.
That's right. I need just give me 8 more minutes on Isaiah Joe and we'll be good.
My favorite moment of so this was the first Sixers game with fans since March 11th of 2020, 3,100 fans in there. My favorite moment of the fan experience is when Ala Abdelnaby in the intro of the game said, it was nice to see all their smiling faces, which of course is untrue because they're all wearing masks.
That is actually a violation, Ala. You are actually outing them right now by saying that you're seeing their smiling faces.
Well, I mean, like, look.
You can see their smizing faces, maybe, but that's about it.
Right. Shout out, what's her name? Tyra Banks from America's Next Top Model. I mean, look, we all knew that Danny Green was going to get revenge on his old team. He's had a bone to pick with the Spurs since he left there, and Danny Green just came out fucking firing. Great game from Danny. People like you that smite his name,
Oh, come on. A great Danny game. A lovely Danny
He's
game.
incredible.
Hitting off the catch. I love him off the catch. He even hit a floater or two. Actually, he hit a couple floaters in the last game as well against Washington, which is always a journey. Never really expecting them to go in, but I appreciate it. The best thing about Danny is that he's just willing to shoot, even when he's contested.
Doesn't give a fuck.
And I think
yeah.
guys were more willing today. I think Tobias took a couple contested. I think Seth definitely took a couple more contested, and I'm sure that's something that Doc is sort of hammering them on to be like, we don't have Joel. If you got to look, you got to go up with it. So Danny is always willing to do that, and when they go in, it just makes everything a lot easier. And I always appreciate his defense and nice verticality. Stopped a couple drives there. Always slapping the ball away. I love Danny. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get into this thing. I will call out Danny. I'm a straight shooter.
I mean,
I'm a Danny Green. I'm not even gonna say I'm a Danny Green centrist. I'm a generally pro Danny Green. That is how it feels.
This is
straight up.
I mean, you named basically the person that did the dumb thing of the game award after
Sure.
Danny.
An honor. Stay tuned for who got the soft shit award this week, because it's another honor.
It is an honor.
No, all press is good press. All awards are good awards, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. They don't really have, outside of Embiid, when Embiid's not there, you're not going to have a player. It's not Brooklyn, right? Where when Durant's out, there's like, oh, this guy's going to score all the points. That's not really what they are. And I would say over the last 3 games, they've done a really good job of doing what you said. I mean, they do a good job of. I think Harris is the one that I noticed the most when he knows he needs to shoot quicker and shoot more.
Yeah.
He always sort of seems to do it in the beginning of the game as well. But they all sort of they're playing offensively. They're playing good team basketball. It was weird in the first quarter. I had bad vibes about the defense, and
Yeah, gave up a lot of easy buckets at the rim, which is just a product of there not being Joel back there.
Yeah, and I don't. Maybe it was that Spurs just started missing shots and it compounded. But the thing that I was just they're not. You can't do anything in the playoffs without Embiid. But if you can bank wins like this in the regular season, and do the team offense, the Hawks bullshit, and play well, it's a great win. I don't know. There's nobody on the team that even didn't play well, that I can think of aside from Vincent Poirier and his form.
Yeah, he sucks. It really feels like we're giving it's like a charitable act letting him on the team.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, that was just an awesome game. They're moving the ball well. They're passing decisively. There's nothing in the world I trust more than like a Tobias contested like 8-footer off the dribble. He just has that like soft touch. It's just going to go in. I thought Tobias is passing a little bit better. Had a nice little lob to Dwight in transition. That was cool. Obviously, Tobias defense, deflections, anticipating, the best. But I mean, like you said, like banking wins is super important because, they got the Knicks on Tuesday and then the stretch is just impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Bucks and then the Kings and the Knicks back to back and then Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets.
On the road.
Like those are the games that almost certainly Embiid is going to miss.
Yeah.
And so winning the games that you have to win and also getting a bunch of rest in them is awesome.
Yeah, I don't even it's a weird thing. Like I don't even know what to. And the other thing.
Oh, I got more. I mean,
I know you do.
Look, I wasn't joking about 8 more minutes about Isaiah Joe. Come on.
The other thing is that it does not seem like when Embiid is out that there's any certain. A major difference between Doc Rivers and Brett Brown is that with Brett, you knew all the rotations all the time. I do feel like I'm guessing a little bit with Doc Rivers. Like he does mix and match a little bit. And I feel like I don't even know what unit I'm watching half the time. But it was a great game. All right, you wanted, obviously, you have a list of things to get to for each guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Love Ben being back. He was a little rusty at first. I think he was getting his legs back on him, and he hasn't played in a week and a half basically. Got such a nice touch on that righty hook, which looked like it lost him for a really long time. And I just want to, it's going up so soft, it just like lands on the rim. It's going in. He found Matisse underneath in that dunker spot finally, which I like. I'm asking for that Matisse in the dunker spot more often because he's cutting back door and guys are not really finding him. I mean, I love aggressive Ben even after a make when he does like a grab and go that pushes pressure on the defense, especially when the big scores underneath and he can just beat the big down the floor and there's nobody back there to protect the rim. And I love Ben rolling really well. I think that will even become more pronounced if they get a stretch 5 to play with him. Although Tony Bradley's been, I think, really great, and we've been seeing some great Dwight lately. It's just the idea of a stretch 5 with Ben to open things up so he can become more of a roller, so the paint is a little more open for everybody. Is nice, but I think he's rolling better than ever before. And yeah, Tony Bradley is playing great. I like Tony Bradley. I was down on him because I think he's a little bit of a slow stiff, without like any like distinct skill aside from just trying pretty hard and having long arms and being decent around the rim. And I think
I like Tony Bradley. He's a slow stiff without any skill.
Yeah, without any specific skill, without like a distinct elite skill or even. But he's big. He's got long arms and he tries hard and people like playing with him. He just rolls. He just keeps rolling. When you're that big, all you have to do is really roll. I wish he had a little more bounce, but I mostly just missed Zaire. I was sad that they mishandled everything about Zaire. So I put that on Tony Bradley, and that's my fault. I should not. He rolled his ankle later in the game, so hopefully he's okay because I don't want to see Vincent Poirier play basketball in meaningful minutes, but I would love to see some more B-Ball Paul, who should be the MVP of the G League, and immediately scored on his first touch. And is called B-Ball Paul by Matt Cord. I mean, it's just I feels like there hasn't been a bench hero in a while of like a little bit bad that we're not counting on for anything, but just like happy to see there. I guess it was Korkmaz, like he was like the victory cigar, but it's good to have a little B-Ball Paul in there with like upside, but also just entertainment. I love B-Ball Paul, man. I'm so happy he's there. And I thought Seth played great. I think his passing has looked a little bit more free lately. I thought he's been, I said more aggressive shooting the ball. He didn't. He took off the undershirt. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did. It's a big move.
It's a big move. It looked weird. I was like, I didn't. It was sort of. I would have liked a warning before I saw upper arm. I think that's a little bit revealing for him. But I thought he just like moved well and shot well. Still wanted to do more sidestep threes than stepping in for long twos. But I thought he played excellent basketball. And then talking about the bench, like
wait a minute, hold on. Two things on Seth Curry. First of all, not the best news about him taking off the undershirt is now he doesn't have to worry about playing for a 7th grade team. He can just play for the Sixers.
That's good. And then jumping in the pool after.
I was a t-shirt in the pool kid because I was fat.
Of course. Come on, of course you were. What was the name of your cover band?
Project Mayhem.
Of course, and you were. That goes hand in hand with t-shirt in the pool. Absolutely. Locked in.
I can't believe you're fat shaming the old me.
No, it's not fat shaming. It's just there's a connection there between T-shirt in the pool and Project Mayhem cover band for sure.
And I did see. So to your point about Seth sidestepping, I've seen him do it more lately. He doesn't do it most of the time, but he did it tonight. He also stepped into a long 2 tonight, but he did sidestep once tonight. And the other thing I saw him do, and he's not afraid of taking long threes, but I love long threes. And he took a couple of those tonight, and I think those are pretty important. They're just for space purposes. Okay, go ahead.
Just talking about the bench, like there was I forget where the quote was, but Doc or Daryl talking about, hey, obviously trade deadline coming up like a week and a half. But they seem reluctant to mess with the vibes and the rhythm that this team has. And the bench has taken a lot of criticism, obviously, especially when there's, multiple non-shooters out there. And obviously Matisse and Mike Scott have both had bouts of injuries, and Korkmaz had a really cold stretch, and Shake has been off and on. So I think this is the healthiest they've been, and they seem to be playing really, really well together. And just like finding each other, passing, I thought Shake had a really good rhythm. He always seems to have a good rhythm with Korkmaz and like knowing where he's going to be, especially because a lot of times they're the two only like offensive options on that bench unit.
So they better know where each other are.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought Shake distributed really well. It was the right balance of, you talk about a lot of Shake seeming a little lost of what to do sometimes, was like how much is he just, putting his head down, getting himself a bucket versus being like the point guard of those units. And I thought tonight was a really good, obviously everything was going in, so it made it look easier, but I thought it was a good combination of that. And I mean, Matisse has been awesome. He's been just absolutely awesome, and not doing anything stupid offensively. Obviously cutting. Obviously he's 5 for 5 from 3 since the All-Star break, which helps. Doing the positive regression to the mean that I was hoping for, and sticking my fragile reputation on the line for. And it's just been great. Like, he's obviously getting a ton of steals. He's super helpful. There's a good doc quote after the game talking about how important Matisse being a positive offensive contributor is. He said, we're going to need to play in a tight game with him on the floor. We don't want to do the offense-defense substitutions. We need him to be available offensively, and he's starting to do that, which is totally true. I mean, I don't mind offense-defense. I think maybe players don't like it as much because it kind of gets them out of their rhythm a little. And then when there's it ruins game flow, because then all of a sudden if you're the defense guy and there wasn't a stoppage and now you're playing offense, it's like, wait, am I allowed to be here? Like, I'm clearly bad at this. That's sort of the whole point. So I understand why players would maybe not love it, but Matisse is looking good. He's shooting confidently. Just a ton of I love a poke out and then a fumble recovery touchdown. Pick sixes are fun, but I think getting your own steal off your own man, I think, is the best version of it. And then how about Korkmaz, man? Hitting when that kid is hot.
Rewind. I know you're going.
Hot.
Wait, hold on. Can I say something about the eyeball?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Matisse. I was just getting excited to talk about Korkmaz.
I know you're cooking. I don't want to interrupt, but I do have things now and then. The Thybulle's defense is almost sort of like a hot shooting 3-point shooter when things are not going well for the other team. Like, I think they sort of, when you feel,
it's a snowball effect.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, when the other team feels like it's slipping away is when he seems to thrive, and when those steals seem to happen a lot.
I think Ben too. Same thing.
Yeah.
I think Matisse, just his presence and the stuff he looks for and the stuff he does, sort of causes the other team, or it causes the rest of the players on the team to look for those things, whether that's Ben or Tobias or Korkmaz or something. Like, they just start, or Embiid when he's there. It just seems like it's an infectious thing. I love watching it.
And then Furk, you're right. I mean, he's the best shooter on the team. I mean, like,
I think Curry's a better shooter, but the Korkmaz's ability to shoot high
and quick
is tough. And I mean, there's something so insulting about Korkmaz getting hot against you.
Yes.
Do you feel that?
Yep.
Not because he's bad. He's obviously like an NBA player and he's going to play for 5 or 6 whatever more years. But like, there's something just the way he carries himself. There's just the ease with which it comes off. The shot looks so easy coming off his hand. I love it. And he's hot as hell. Matisse and Korkmaz have both been incredibly hot since the All-Star break. And I want to call out, because he doesn't do much of this, a really nice Dwight touch pass down the lane to Mike Scott for a dunk. And Mike Scott rising up for a dunk, by the way. Let's give him credit for that.
It was stunning. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he hung up there for a while, too. I think one of the reasons that it's so insulting when Korkmaz gets hot against you is that he always has this look on his face like he can't believe it as much as you can.
Yeah, the Sixers bench loves like a little smirk to their bench. And the vibes, I mean, look, I've talked about the vibes as a joke, but the vibes are great. And this is not a bit anymore. This isn't me, calling for a Napa trip to heal everything. The team loves each other. This is a beloved group. Even if Poirier is just like a team manager, I get why Darryl will be unwilling to maybe make any sort of move situation. But I think that they will make some trade. But I do think that you got to look around at the team and go, like, Embiid's out anyway we'll talk about it, but
Yeah.
how much of like unless you're making a significant upgrade to bump somebody out of the rotation that's just like, well, this person's clearly good and they're a good teammate and maybe they've even played with some of these guys before, whatever it is, it's a delicate thing. And I do think you have to be careful about what you do, because the team is playing really well together. It's not just they're winning games by 20 plus now without Joel. They won without Ben and Joel. Like, it's just, it's easy. Obviously this isn't going to be the playoff rotation that you still got to get there, but I think there's something to be said for just good feelings, and right now they have it.
Well, to me, less about good feelings, even though they're fine, but more about consistency in terms of who you're playing with. There's a bet that you're making when you're introducing somebody new into the rotation is not that they're just like, you could get a better play. You could replace one of these players with a better player. You could figure out how to do that. But the question is that player going to play that well here in the limited amount of time that they're going to have to try to integrate themselves, which was my worry about Lowry more than anything. So
Yeah.
We'll see.
I feel that.
Mike, I think you would agree this year has proven health very, very important, right? You got to take care of yourself. One way.
Totally. I wouldn't say that I'm proving it,
No.
but I would say the year certainly is. Yeah.
Body Bio is a local company that makes supplements that are helping you take care of yourself. They concentrate on two things: your gut, your brain. You keep those two things healthy, you're going to be healthy. One of the things that people ignore is hydration. That was one thing I ignored. And that's why I got cramps in my feet all the time when I was driving. I mentioned that, the worst. Sometimes when I was putting my socks on, I would get a cramp in my abdomen. Cramps all the time. It's because I was not properly hydrating. E-Light from Body Bio, if you're looking on the YouTube, you see that right there. E-Light, you see these Gatorade, Powerade, either has sugar in it or it has fake sugar in it, all this crap. You look at the ingredients, it's all this crap. Not in Body Bio. No sugar, no artificial anything. All you do is you take a capful twice a day, you put it right there in whatever you're drinking, you drink it, you stay properly hydrated. It's not just about drinking water. It's about electrolytes. It's about a balance, and that's what E-Light does, right? I have not had a cramp. There's no bullshit. I had those cramps all the time. No more. And look, after if you're hungover after a night of drinking, you want to hydrate properly, this is your stuff. It's hydration super, super, super important, and E-Light does it from Body Bio. Go to bodybio.com and use promo code RTRS20. Not only are you going to get 20% off E-Light, you get 20% off everything at Body Bio. I'm telling you, all that's in this, sodium, potassium, magnesium, that's it. No sugar, no flavorings, no nothing, and it'll solve a problem for you. Look, the small bottle I think is $8. Just give it a try. Give it a try. I'm telling you, you'll see a difference. Bodybio.com, promo code RTRS20.
Simmons currently calling out it's not worth talking about really, but I like the punchback of the Wizards broadcaster saying Simmons is the most overrated player in the league, which is crazy because he said he's a defensive player of the year candidate, and if you're maybe going to be defensive player of the year, then you're not overrated.
Wow.
And if you're the best defensive player in basketball, then you're not.
There's a guy on the Jazz who's certainly overrated.
Sure, but obviously Simmons does more than Gobert offensively and is more vital to the team offensively than Gobert is. Anyway, Simmons said, "It is what it is." He's like a 5'5" commentator for the Wizards. Everyone has their voice and they can say what they want. I can't give it too much attention.
I can't give it too much attention, even though I put it on my Instagram. I'm talking about it now, and I found out how short he is.
He was asked about it now. He has to answer the question. I think it's fine. I don't mind. Look, you find
It's fine.
Every team ever has like an us against the world.
Yes.
Nobody believes in us. Tobias feels it about not making the All-Star team, even though he's one of the highest paid people in the world. Like, it's you need to do what you do what you got to do. Whatever motivation, whatever bulletin board material you want, absolutely take it. Get your backs up. Do what you got to do.
Absolutely. I have no problem with Ben Simmons clapping back at the guy. I do. Like, opinion shaming, I hate. But if it's Ben Simmons doing it, I don't know. He said he's overrated, and Ben Simmons said, "Oh yeah, well he's short." I mean,
I get it.
All right. It's fine.
5'5" is tough. That's a tough hit.
It's
It's a little cheap, but I respect it. You gotta do what you
it's
gotta
not great. It's not great. Are you? Did we go over everybody?
I just thought it was cool that Maxey comes in and gets a huge ovation. Like, it's his first time playing in front of Sixers fans, and to come in and
Wasn't
immediately
really
be like,
what
"Hey, you're
happened, I don't
beloved,"
think.
like right away.
Wasn't
Which
really
is a
what
very
happened.
nice thing.
Wasn't Maxey getting the ovation? I'm pretty sure they were cheering for the Frosty.
The freeze out.
Yeah.
I think that there was. I heard a pop when Maxey was announced.
Maybe. Yeah. It must have been. I wasn't there. We should ask Sixers Adam. I'm curious what it was like in there with. I guess it was like the process years. 3,100 people with masks on.
Yeah, but usually before it was like paper bags, but
Yeah.
now it's masks.
Yeah.
In I guess a little more healthy way, sure.
Yeah.
And I love Isaiah Joe, man. I love him. I think I underrated him coming out of college because I was a little unhappy with the idea of getting like basically a one-dimensional player at 21. And I'm glad that they got him in the second round. I think Maxey is much better value. But Isaiah Joe's a good player, and he's not just a shooter, even though that's primarily what he'll be doing. Like, he has dribble drive, he works on defense, he's going to get his body right. Like, it's really very exciting to have a bunch of young guys that you're excited about. Not just because they have fun nicknames like B-Ball Paul.
And for what it's worth, given our history here, just a shooter. I don't think we can put just in front of any person that you would describe as
Sure.
a shooter. You know, it's
We certainly need those guys. And I want to say, even though the Spurs lost by $1 trillion, I do really like a lot of Spurs. Like DeJounte Murray rules.
he's good. I didn't think
He's very, very fun and like a gamer. Like he's a competitive guy, and I like that especially from a point guard. I like somebody that's gonna like get in your grill.
he's got quite a body on him too, man.
Yeah,
DeJounte
for sure.
Murray, yeah.
I like Derek White. I like Lonnie Walker. Keldon Johnson's awesome. I like Devin Vassell. I think that they're a really weird team, and they lost by 1,000. But I thought that was they're fun guys to root for, and I wouldn't mind peeling a couple of them off.
Yeah, we'll be curious to see. Did Murray miss most of last year with an injury or something, or did he?
Not last year.
Okay, year before.
I don't think that was the year before, but he's certainly had injury problems before.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how good he gets because I do. To your point, he plays hard and he's a pretty skilled player and he's a really great athlete. You know, how old is he now? Probably 25.
24, yeah.
Yeah, good player. Before we get to the Embiid thing, I say this like it's nothing. Your hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week. Of course, you can leave a comment down there. Leave us a comment. It's actually a double comment from the same guy. Is brought to you by Kinetic Skateboarding. 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. Their slogan should be, don't skateboard? That's fine. We still have shit you can wear so you can walk around acting like you skateboard. That's me. I'm wearing my Kinetic, I can't see them, my Kinetic camouflage sweatpants right now. KineticSkateboarding.com. Okay. Both comments come from Rashid Frazier. And this came after the pod the other day when you were wearing the tie-dye. I think you were wearing like a blue tie-dye.
Okay.
And he said, Mike got that shit on today. Little color scheme. Okay, I see you, playa. LOL, hashtag 5 stars.
Great.
And then
Thank you.
Rashid comes back later. He says, also, I want to say this with all due respect. Mike looks high as shit. Parentheses.
the YouTube commenters really want me to be high more for podcasts. I had a glass of wine earlier, but I still no today.
Parentheses, granted, weed is legal in California, so whatever. If anything, I'm jealous. Okay. So Joel Embiid lands horribly. All of our collective Joel Embiid lives flashed before our eyes as he limped off. He was writhing in pain. We get the better news from the MR.
What was your before we get there? What was your initial reaction?
Oh, he's done for the season.
Really?
Yeah, it looked like an ACL to me. I mean, like the thing that worries me. We'll get to like later in this, but it just maybe it's us, but it does seem like he's had a bunch of scares this year. This is his second knee.
Oh, every year though.
Yeah, but like
every year.
The scary ones, the land hard on the back and the knee goes the wrong way and fuck it. So I thought he was done. I just thought he was done. Why? What did you think?
I don't know. So I wasn't watching the game live. I was going to watch it later. I was, in fact, playing Mario Kart. So the Wario memes of "I won, but at what cost" really hit me directly in the chest because that's what I was doing. And then I watched it. Embiid looked initially like he thought it was over. Like he seemed to be like breaking down on the court. And that was obviously very scary to see. But then he kind of like sits up and looks and he's like, oh, I think I'm okay. I can move it. I can bend it. And then he walks off. And at that point I was like, I think it's fine. I just had I don't know why. I don't know how. After 8 years of this podcast, did we do this podcast when the Bynum stuff was happening? No, we
were after Bynum.
Since the Bynum situation, I don't know how I can feel positive about any injury, but I for some reason just did. I had just like a good feeling like it wasn't going to be it then. I don't know why. And then the first scan came back pretty good, so that there was like cautious optimism, and then the next morning they just described it as a bone bruise. So I mean, and now Doc said before the game, it's they have a plan. He's optimistic. It's just rehab. He's gonna like attack it, and we're feeling good. So yeah, I mean, look, scary, very annoying as far as the MVP thing goes.
Well, just I think the most scary, given the the history. And first of all, I speak for you when I say that our biggest concern is him. Like he's been through so much, he's battled back through so much, and we think about him. So as we talk about the context of the basketball team, it's obviously secondary. But the other thing was that like the 2017 knee was also a bone bruise until it wasn't anymore.
Sure. Yes.
So
we're not on in blind trust terms with the Sixers medical staff. But yeah, I think that now that I don't know what the thought is. Is the thought going to be, I feel pretty good in a week. I could come back and maybe still be in the MVP conversation, or is it just going to be like, that's out the window. Let's just make sure we're ready. Let's come back when it's like for sure, because you don't want to re-aggravate anything. But I don't know. That's my concern. But I feel just generally positive about it. I think he's going to be okay, and sort of, if they do decide, let's take it as cautiously as possible. Let's eliminate the idea of like MVP from our mind. Just know that this was your MVP season. It got cut short. Let's focus on winning a championship now. I do think it is ultimately like maybe a healthy thing.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you something that I'm worried about.
I think I already started the game before you started the game.
Yeah, I knew there was no way. But I'll give you something that I'm nervous about, and then you okay. So first thing, you're like, just a bone bruise. Well, they say, reevaluate in 2 weeks, 2 to 3 week injury. That smells like 5 or 6 weeks to me. There's no way he'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks, and bone bruises take a while to heal up. So that's my first dark side, is that he's never going to be back in 2 or 3 weeks.
Totally fine. Let him relax. I don't care too much between the difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seed, and clearly they've now won a couple games in a row without him, so they're like holding up okay. And even though, I think Brooklyn is going to not stay this hot all season long. They will get a little colder at some point. So I think they're due for a little bit of a slump in some regard. But they're still 2.5 games up on Milwaukee for the 3 seed. I just need to at least give me a top 2 seed, and let's make sure Joel is healthy, rested, and focused for the playoffs, even if it ends up being longer than the 2 to 3 week timeline.
All right, dark side. He's never going to win the MVP now, and it will be mentally crushing to him.
I don't think that would be mentally crushing to him. I don't think that. I think he knows that he should have won Rookie of the Year. I think he knows that he's been the All-Star starter for 4 years, and I think that his body, even though his body's been great this year and his conditioning has been way up, I think it's sustainable. It doesn't seem to be like I stopped eating everything. He doesn't seem to be going for broke this year or nothing else. It seems like this is going to be a way to, lengthen his career and lengthen his prime and stuff. And so whether or not he wins an MVP ever, I think the thing that he cares about most is winning a championship. And now that the MVP conversation is kind of out of the way, he can then focus on that.
It's that time, Mike. It's time for the By Nature Pet Food Soft Shit Award. Who's it going to?
I will give the Soft Shit Award this week to collectively us for having soft shit and not thinking that Joel's knee will hold up.
So we get the Soft Shit Award.
We get the soft. We share it. A group. It's like the Atlanta Hawks sharing the Player of the Month awards. we all share it. It's a real honor.
By Nature is the best pet food you can get your pet, dog or cat. It's made for both, and it's so healthy that you don't have to worry about big dog, big cat, small cat, indoor cat, outdoor cat. No, premium. When you eat good food, it's not made specifically for a kind of person. No, broccoli's good for everybody, right? Blueberries are good for everybody. Apple cider vinegar good for everybody. By Nature pet foods are good for all pets. They're slow cooked, so they're more nutrient rich, and your pet, who digests food very quickly, metabolizes food very quickly, needs to get those nutrients, gets those nutrients, premium proteins. You'll notice in the ingredients, the protein is listed first. That's important. And premium ingredients. That's the super fusion: apple cider vinegar, spinach, blueberries, ginger, coconut oil. Never had a recall. Family owned, family operated, the company that makes By Nature. Don't fuck around. Amazon is where you can get By Nature with our discount. Your very first By Nature purchase, 20% off with promo code 20RTRS at Amazon. Get some By Nature. Use promo code 20RTRS for 20% off. Send us a picture of your dog or cat with the By Nature. We'll put them in the Good Boy Club or Good Girl Club right there on the website. By Nature Pet Foods. Oh, and the reason it's Soft Shit Award is because if your dog starts eating, and cat, we had a testimonial from a cat owner, starts eating this By Nature, you're not going to have soft shit anymore. You're not going to have to pull it out of the grass. It's going to come up in a nice, firm handful. By Nature Pet Foods. Get it at Amazon. Promo code 20RTRS. Okay, this one you already addressed. The concern was they're going to fall to the 3 seed, which means that they would have to beat both Milwaukee and Brooklyn.
Yeah. They might. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
They certainly might. I mean, they're 27-12 right now. They've won 5 games in a row. But behind them, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami, and Charlotte have won 3 or 4 games in a row each. So
I think Miami's 9-1 in their last 10. This is sort of the Sixers, but yeah. Okay. Dark side. When he comes back, he will have just sat for basically the entire All-Star break and then 4 weeks, and he's never going to get back into the shape that he was in this year.
No, he will. He will. That's not that long. His other knee is going to be so ready. His ankles are great. His feet. Oh, man, his hips. Think how rested his hips are. His back. This is giving his back a break. All of it.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Okay, dark side. With this going on, it makes the trade deadline harder to figure out.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's true. I think, Toronto's kind of decimated by COVID a little bit right now. I think Van Vliet and a couple other guys are out. They've lost 4 in a row. And they're the 10 seed right now. Maybe they decide, let's get something for Kyle Lowry. Like they have a week and a half to do it, so we'll see. But I agree. I don't think Washington is bad. 14-23, a bunch of games out, but it doesn't seem like they're going to want to trade Beal, and Beal might not even want to go, and the Sixers might not even have anything to make that trade happen anyway. But I think there's, whether it's Lowry or somebody else, I think it's going to be like, okay, with or without Embiid, I would like a stretch 5, and I would like a guy that can create a little bit, and then another, especially if we end up trading Danny, like give me like Diet Wes Matthews or something, just like a guy that can like shoot a little bit, and basically Glenn Robinson, like maybe someone who wants to be here a little bit more, but somewhere in that regard.
He hated it here. Okay,
he really hated it. He hated it here. Do you think he resents it because they beat Milwaukee in 01? Could be it.
All right, 3 more. To stay afloat, they're going to have to play completely differently than they played with Embiid, and when he comes back, they're not going to be able to adjust.
Oh, I don't agree with that. No, I think this will just strengthen it. I think, first of all, Ben and Tobias both really like posting up. I think sometimes they do it too much. But now if they're like, okay, we're going to post up, those guys give them some of Embiid's post-up touches, then it's like, okay, they know how to play that way. I think defensively they'll probably struggle quite a bit more, but that means more minutes for Matisse because they need a little bit more of defensive juice. And it's coinciding with, the hottest shooting stretch of his career, so that's nice so far. But I think the offense will be okay. I think the defense will probably struggle more.
All right. This one is particularly dark, and then there's one that's a little less dark. This one is just thinking out loud, going through my feelings. I was just like, man, this poor guy's never going to get through a fucking season healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think any big guy getting as many touches as he does, like playing with as much power as he does, like it just happens.
Yeah.
Like it kind of just happens. And like the LeBron thing where he like landed on his back, that's like a particular circumstance. I think he's already playing, from his rookie year to now, I think he's already playing a little bit more like ground bound.
He definitely
it's not like he's Nerlens,
Yeah.
like anymore. He's not doing like flying around, jumping and stuff. He's mostly, aside from like occasionally chase down blocks and stuff, his game is predicated upon like power and finesse and strength and positioning and touch and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it sucks because I feel for him, and especially after he took so much time to like really give a shit about his body and internalize the criticism and go from there. But I think it makes him more hungry, hopefully.
And then the final one, man, this is why you trade for James Harden when your main guy goes down. You have another guy to just fucking run the team.
Yeah. I mean, it's coinciding nicely with Tobias's best stretch and Simmons playing the best ball of his career. So I think it's less of a concern there. Especially now the Sixers are at full health, which is super helpful. But if anybody else goes down, then it becomes a little bit dangerous. Yeah, I mean, having James Harden is better than not having James Harden.
Yeah.
But I think also the flip side of that is if you get James Harden and Embiid's out for a long time, or not perfect, not up to his previous playing ability, and you traded Simmons and everything else for Harden, and then it just gets ugly. Harden could walk. Like there's a bunch of that wouldn't be like the perfect scenario either. Like, hey, we have a James Harden team with like a James Harden Tobias Harris team if Simmons is gone. I don't think that would be perfect either.
A James Harden Furkan Korkmaz team.
Yes,
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Well, that was what I had. This, you pretty much can rule out the entire, like, through Denver. Is if you're being realistic about it, you rule out through Denver, and then I think their first game after that is Cleveland. I think they have a game against Cleveland. I think they said they won't evaluate him for 2 weeks, of course, and but my guess would be you can, the earliest that you would see him would be that Cleveland game. That would be my guess.
I mean, I think just stay above water if you can take care of business against the Knicks a couple times, the Kings, and then split or even go 1 of 3.
If they can go 500, it would be great.
Yeah, like a Bucks, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, going like 1 of 3 in there. I guess Bucks, Clippers, Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets. If you can win 2 of those games, I feel fine. I feel fine being like, okay, that's enough. And they're playing well. They're playing well together. I'd be concerned if Tony Bradley's out. I would, if Tony Bradley's out for like a couple games, 100%. I'm not joking. B-Ball Paul needs to start. Must start. Poirier cannot play. There's nothing of value he's bringing, and Dwight is obviously much better off the bench. And he's been playing great, and I want to give Dwight credit. But we need starter B-Ball Paul minutes, and let's just switch everything. Let's run like crazy, and let's not be playing Vincent Poirier.
I'm all for that. I would love to start B-Ball Paul. Mike, do you remember an emailer by the name of Dylan? He started to listening to the pod when he was 15, and he's about to turn 21, yada, yada, yada. And the end of the email was, you have no idea how bad I want this tattoo. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
Dylan. So you got a text message over the weekend from Eric, who owns Big Barker. And he was like, that kid Dylan, he touched me, and I'm willing to pay for him to also get the tattoo. So I said, hold on, let me see if Tim will do a second version of a second tattoo. So I text Tim, Pangburn, tattoo artist. He says, of course, he will do it. So Eric's going to pay for it, but here's the deal. He wants you or you and the listeners to determine what Dylan says he would do whatever we want. Eric wants you and the listeners to figure out what Dylan could do involving a Big Barker to qualify himself to get this tattoo. So I'll let you start to marinate. I'm sure you could come up with something.
Yeah, I could see like him having to sleep on it all night, maybe doing like a time lapse
Have him on the bed.
to prove it.
Yep. Maybe he gets tattooed on the Big Barker as well. Maybe he lays on the Big Barker.
that sounds nice.
That could be good as well. Big Barker is not a get people to get ridiculous tattoos company. It is a dog bed company, the premier dog bed company. If you care about your dog, you'll have him sleeping on, I say him, have it. I don't want to say it. Have him sleeping on a Big Barker. Have him or her sleeping on it. What's that?
I think of them probably.
Yeah.
is solid.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Have them sleep on a big barker. You're right. That is right. That's what I should use there. Have them sleep on a big barker. My dog's a boy, so like my wife called my dog her for 3 years because she had a girl dog before this dog. In any case, bigbarker.com/Ricky. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. You're not going to get a tattoo unless you're that kid, but what you are going to get is the only dog bed in the world that is made specifically to support your dog's joints, and the only dog bed that's also been proven to do so by Penn Vet, making your dog healthier, pain-free, comfortable when he sleeps, when they sleep, comfortable when they sleep. If you go to
They sleep Pierre Jackson style.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they sleep, right. And everyone's still sleeping on Pierre Jackson, I guess. They might have been right. They might have been right.
Sleeping very soundly.
Yeah, without any issue at all. If you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, you get the Big Barker dog bed, but you also get the processed pup patches to put on your Big Barker dog bed. You also get your dog in the processed pup gallery. It really is important. When you sleep, imagine sleeping on the floor. Imagine sleeping on a bad bed. That's my fear anytime I go to an Airbnb, that the mattress is going to be shitty and I'm going to have a bad back in the morning. Imagine, you don't want to do that to your dog. You don't want to get him a cheap dog bed. Get a real bed, a Big Barker. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1 year at-home trial. Try it for a full year. If you don't like it, if your dog doesn't like it, they will give you a full refund and pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. If you have any ideas for what Dylan should do involving a Big Barker, just tweet him at Mike. Just continue to tweet him at Mike. Big Barker dog beds. A quick update to something that we talked about last pod, and I thought a really interesting email about it, even though it doesn't sound likely to me. Is we were talking about, we got an email about what would the Sixers and the NBA look like if they just got rid of the three-point line. Daryl Morey has volunteered to talk about it with us on Twitter Spaces.
What the hell is that?
So
what are we doing? Fucking him and Hinky just discovering new ways to communicate. Like, we need new ways. I'm not communicating well enough with all our people. Text messages and talking on the phone. Over. We don't need that anymore. I come up with a new thing. It's speaking into a void.
Yeah.
And then the void answers back to you, and we're solving email by doing that. What are we doing? Have a conversation. This is fine. Everything's fine. We don't need to keep innovating from nothing.
New ways to do the same shit, you know?
Come on.
Yeah.
Email's fine.
If there's anything...
And Twitter is also fine, by the way. It's all fine.
If there's
the problem is the users. The users are stupid or wrong. It's not the platform.
I don't agree with that. But
if you come up with a new platform, it's still the same idiots on Twitter tweeting the same stuff, except using a different whatever, any spaces, Humvee, Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's still the same people having the same dumb thoughts, and that they are then broadcasting out to public for whatever stupid reason they want to do it.
The only thing worse than Zoomers is old guys like Daryl. I'm like the same age as Daryl or whatever, but like that do Zoomer shit. I don't need to be on TikTok, and I don't need to do Spaces. We have a podcast. What are we doing? But so what Twitter Spaces is basically live audio on Twitter, and we can all three of us be in there. So he has volunteered to do it. I think we should do it.
Isn't it a podcast? What is not a podcast?
Do you know what it is? It's a podcast that we don't get, that like Twitter gets.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We don't need credit for it. We're very benevolent.
Yeah.
Let's give little Twitter some clicks.
Yeah, they need it. They need it.
I've been offering my services for free to Twitter for years. They've rewarded me with nothing. No check mark. No verification.
And now we're going to give them our
I could
podcast.
be anybody. And now they're trying to take my podcast.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Through Morey. So I thought this was a good email. This came from Brett. What about changing the 3-pointer to a 4-pointer and the 2-pointer to a 3-pointer? This would serve to rebalance the scoring between post, mid-range, rim scoring and 3-point shooting. There would still be an incentive to shoot from long range, but the ratio of points between long-range shots and rim and mid-range would be lower. No need to change the court at all. Many people feel like plays at the rim are more exciting than a barrage of threes, and this would potentially carve out a new role for efficient jump shooters across the court rather than just three-point specialists. So I thought it was an interesting thing. He did acknowledge that the downside is that it fucks up every record they have.
Yeah, they're not. It's not going to happen. Give me decimals.
Well,
2.5.
When you play like 1-on-1, do you do 1s and 2s or 1s and 1.5s?
1-on-1 usually I just go. It's just ones.
Okay.
I would say. But in a pickup game, it's 1s and 2s. Yeah, which obviously makes
Is worse.
the 3-pointer
Yeah.
significantly weighted heavier.
It does seem like with all of the different, and there are a lot of different ideas, just changing the ratio would, because the biggest problem is the 50% difference between a 3 and a 2. A 4 and a 3, there is not that 50% difference. It's a 30.
2s should be worth 2.2 points, and 3s should be 2.8.
Tune into Twitter Spaces.
Imagine all the fun we'd be having then. It's fine. Whatever it is fine. It's fine. I don't mind that they're shooting a lot of threes. I don't mind it.
It's a little too
It's not
much.
like back when Tyrone Hill was shooting 18-footers, the league was like so much better. Like, what are we doing? It's fine. It's all fine.
They're definitely going to do
Everybody calm
something.
down.
I just don't know what they're going to do.
You think they're gonna do something? I saw like a possibility that they're considering capping the amount of threes that a team can take.
Well,
how fucking
I think
idiotic is that? What are we talking about?
I think-
I'm sorry, that's your last 3. Now go home. Now put the ball in your pocket. You have to have a big pocket so you can put the ball in after your last 3.
Well, I think what they start doing, I don't think that they would actually consider that, but I think what they start doing is just considering every different possibility. You know, they've talked about moving the line back and widening the court and all of these different things.
I don't mind thinning the lane, right? Didn't they make it bigger so that you couldn't? That to me is fine. I would agree with that.
I think the biggest, I do think they're going to do something simply because players have gotten so good at it, shooting threes, and the difference in value is off base. Like if you were going to start basketball now, you would not do 2 and 3 because the benefit to shooting a 3 is too high. But you could rule legislate it out. You could court legislate. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think they will start trying things. I definitely think they will. I think it's a little out of balance. I think. I
don't know that I agree. I think a thinning the lane is a good answer for me. I think moving the line back it'll just generate the same. I think mostly the same amount of shots, but just more misses.
Well, but then the benefit wouldn't be the same. The problem is that the average, if you're making,
but the problem is the core issue that people claim to have with it is, hey, people are taking too many threes, and the game looks ugly because it just ends with shooting. But then a lot of times you're watching the game, and especially this happens, I guess, more in college, but no, it happens in the pros too. But like, oh man, they're going to the line. There's too many. It's a walk to the foul line every time, and now it's just like foul shot after foul shot. I mean, some games are going to be what the games are going to be. I think that sometimes you want to overcorrect things, like there's a big problem and we need to fix it. And it's like, yeah, there's better shooters now, and the NBA is targeting more players who can shoot. Whereas in the past,
but because of the 3-pointer, that's why though.
But because of also spacing, like we talked about on the last podcast. I truly don't think it's a problem. I think it's not like you're seeing. I think it's dumb sometimes that teams make the choice to settle for, I don't want to say settle, to take a pull-up 3 instead of like an easy pass under the basket for a guaranteed 2. I think that's stupid, but that's their choice. Like teams make bad choices all the time. And that's up to those teams to make the choice against. They've determined that it's better to have a pull-up 3 even if like a wide open roll to the lane is open. I think some of those teams are wrong.
Well, they're definitely wrong. The best shot is a wide open layup. That's over a 3. The reason I'm sure that they'll do something is because in the history of sports, basketball especially, when things get out of whack, they change it to make it less out of whack. I mean, to me, like it's one of the things that baseball fucking end the shift. It's ridiculous. Like make the shortstop play where the shortstop plays. You want to stop all this nonsense. Basketball's changed the rules before. They added a 3-point line. They moved it before. They moved it back. They'll do something.
Yeah, but they've been doing that. I'm not saying I'm against any rule change ever. I think sometimes it's there. I just don't think that right now is a problem. I think there are some teams that shoot a ton. There are some teams that shoot a little. I think it's an overcorrection based on the 90s and early 2000s when teams weren't doing it at all, and that was worse. I mean, that was a lot of really ugly, clunky, bad basketball, and now players are better and smarter, and coaching staffs are smarter and more willing to try some things out. I think that thinning the lane will allow people to allow the post up to have more value because you're not having to do the post up further away, and you don't get called for more 3 seconds if you're in the lane for that long. And if you want to move the line back 6 inches or whatever the fuck, then fine. Then if that makes you happy, then do it.
I'm looking to see how many 3-pointers the 2015-16 Golden State Warriors shot 31 threes a game. And the current Sixers are shooting like 30 threes a game?
I think less.
It's a pretty big difference, though. I mean, it's a pretty big jump for maybe the best shooting team we ever saw just 5 years ago, shooting 31 threes a game. And the Sixers, like the lowest team in the NBA is trying to shoot 33s a game. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, they're emulating them because they were successful. And if they determine that they can't be as successful as them, or they don't have the personnel to do it, then Sixers are shooting 29 threes per game coming into tonight. Yeah, I do think thinning the paint would do something. I just don't think that the idea of teams getting 3-point shooters more easily so that they can take more threes and have a chance to, compete against teams like, Embiid or obviously Jokic is more diverse than that, but guys that are harder to stop inside. They go. I mean, I just don't think. I think there are plenty of stylistic choices in the NBA that you're seeing, and it's really easy. I think to just say too many threes and that's it. But the threes are a product of players that are really hard to stop. That guys have to come over and help on really impressive ball handlers and guys that can get to the rim and Embiid posting up and all that stuff. And so naturally, those guys are either there's a lot of easy buckets underneath. I'm calling for more finding Matisse on cuts in the dunker spot. But those kinds of things of they're going to be standing out there so that they have space to operate. I think that's just a product of there being a lot of good players.
What if they put a very small 3-point area in the dunker spot?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
A listener submitted Jigsaw. This comes from Eric. It made me laugh out loud when I was reading it. My wife asked, "What's so funny?" And I said, "It's a jigsaw. Can I give it to you?" And she said, "Yes." And she said, "Why is that funny?" So here we go. Mike, for the rest of your life, would you rather be obligated to post "bad decision" with an exclamation point on every major life event post, new house, engagement, wedding, that you come across on social media, or you have to reply to every political post from someone you actually know in real life with "I wholeheartedly agree"?
I wouldn't do either.
I love bad decision.
Bad decision is solid. I don't come across, to be honest, and I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'll do both. I'll go with both. I think I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm going to go with both.
It's a really good one. Let's do a few mailbag questions before we get out of here. Writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com. Remember to send us a basketball and non-basketball question. This comes from Jim. Hey, Spike and Mike, I can't stop thinking about the emailer from last pod who says that he wipes when he pees. I know his question was about what to do with the toilet paper, but I feel like that's kind of burying the lead. The fact that he regularly wipes at a standing piss is mind-blowing. Is this a thing? Did he allude to being an international listener? Is this a thing that Americans are behind on, similar to the bidet? Have your brains been similarly rattled by this phenomenon? I think the answer is yes. He was a foreigner.
International, yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard of it before.
But where does the paper come from?
Toilet paper.
Yeah, but when you're standing at a urinal, there's no toilet paper there.
Bring your own. or only be a stall guy.
Yeah, we've been through that. We've been through that.
Yeah,
And
we
basketball
certainly have.
question. In past seasons, a common sentiment was that we didn't realize how non-elite the Sixers were because we don't watch enough of the other teams around the league regularly. Could the opposite be true this season? Could we be blind to this team's eliteness because we're subject to seeing their shortcomings on a regular basis, but in reality, they're truly an elite team and a serious title contender? Would love to hear your thoughts. I think that's certainly possible. I don't think it's likely. I think I watch enough NBA teams to... We certainly see their shortcomings more because we watch them more often. Do you think they're maybe secretly elite?
I don't think it's a secret. I think I feel very optimistic about the current Sixers team, especially if Joel comes back healthy. I think there's, their major shortcoming is pretty obvious, and then some sort of secondary shortcomings that are there that they could maybe address in the next week and a half. But I look around and I think that there's only one team in the East that I'm scared of because they have, three of the best players of their generation. But I think they're one of the top 5 teams, kind of the only 5 or 6 teams that have a shot at the championship. So I don't think that it's not like the Sixers are like secret, like the 4th seed and like
Right.
scrappier than you think kind of thing. Like they're the number 1 seed in the East, and they've been the number 1 seed in the East for a long time now.
I think we would probably agree that they're a notch below the LA teams in Brooklyn. And I think what he's suggesting is that it's possible that they're not, and we just don't know it. But
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that with LeBron and AD and the rest of the Lakers, I think that they're probably a little bit still like, conventionally have to prove that they're better than the Lakers. But I think they're right there with the Clippers, and I think they're right there with Brooklyn, just as far as like, it's not like Brooklyn's guys have played a ton of games together, and they still have weak spots and don't play much defense. So there's nobody that's like coasting right now.
from regular emailer, good guy, and Bark in the Park t-shirt designer Mike, is the reason that Spike loves Danny Green so much is because he's his basketball doppelganger. I'm just going to throw it out there that they run the same because of Spike's back being so jacked up. And they both have old person, young person hair. Plus, everyone hates Danny when he actually does lots of good things, basically like Spike in real life.
How do you feel about having old person, young person hair?
Everything about me is old person, young person. Like it's my. I never grew up. It's sort of like a radio thing. We never have to go to regular work. We go to work where everybody dresses in hoodies and jeans. And I mean, look at me with the fucking tattoos and the hoodie and the fucking rock band t-shirts and the old person, young person hair. It's just who I am.
Did you like Landry Shamet, who is more conventionally described as Spike Eskin face?
No, I'd rather be compared to Danny Green. I mean, I saw this.
Do you feel an affinity for both guys because of visual similarities?
No, though I do. The running thing is very spot on. I do run. And the thing is I run pretty fast. Like 5K time, I average like a 7:15 mile. That's pretty fast. It's like, I'm not going to break any records, but it's fast enough. But I do have that sort of weird run because I keep my back straight. So I sort of, I guess, look like Danny a little bit.
I also run pretty weird, and no one ever told me until I saw myself on video running, and it's awful. This is really very rough.
How do you
I'm
run?
fast. I'm not like marathon fast.
Yeah.
But like sprinting fast. But yeah, every time I see a video of myself, I'm like, how do I do it normally? And then sometimes I'll think about it when I'm running, and I get very self-conscious. I don't know what the deal is. I'm like, I'll try to like overly hunch, and then I'm like sort of like I don't know. I can't find the sweet spot. I don't know.
Couple more. This comes from Tom. My son Frank turned me onto the podcast earlier in the season. I've been enjoying it ever since.
Frank.
Thanks, Frank. And thanks, Tom. Basketball question. Who's your favorite broadcast team? I really miss Serena Winters. She had good insights. Worst broadcast team, TNT team. You know, I love Fransky /LA, like
Fransky's great.
Yeah, Franzen. I love Fransky. Franz is doing a good job. He's new. He's got a lot to learn.
You got to throw some. I love Merrill. I've always loved Merrill.
Oh, well,
Merrill and
Merrill's-
Mike. Come on, grew up with those guys. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was just understood. I mean, Merrill, and I'll say this about Merrill, having worked now with Merrill for 7 years, and we had a very Merrill, Mike, and the Eagles broadcast team had a very close relationship this year as we worked through one of the weirdest years in the history of sports. Nobody fucking likes doing their job more than Merrill. Nobody. There's nobody in the entire world who likes their job more.
It's a pretty good job to have.
It's a great job.
I will say.
Yeah.
I mean, he, one game a week, 4 hours, exciting, and then people just love you forever. It's a pretty solid.
Do you know he?
As a kid, I would mute the broadcast and have Merrill on.
Turn down your TV. Turn up Merrill and Mike. Did you?
For sure.
Did you know?
I would say I like, as far as NBA broadcast goes, I really like who's this? He was ESPN Mark Jones. I like Mark Jones.
Yeah.
I think he's cool. And him and Doug Christie have a cool thing in Sacramento. I really like the Hornets broadcaster. That he's having like a blast. They're having a really fun time covering LaMelo Ball, which is fun for a team that has not been good for a while. I like Doris Burke a lot more than you do. I like Mike Breen. I'm not a Kevin Harlan guy.
He's good though.
I think he doesn't modulate in my mind. I think he's just like so aware that he has a good voice,
right?
That he's just sometimes like showing it off, like a theater kid that's just like is singing all the time because he's like, we know your voice is good. Like I don't think it's a modulated one. I like Ian Eagle. Jim Nance is iconic. Anybody else I can think of?
I
think Grant Hill's pretty good as a color commentator. I think I've grown to like Reggie Miller more than I did in the past. I used to hate him a lot, but I think he's gotten better, and especially because like Chris Webber sucks and Van Gundy I don't think is good, and Mark Jackson is awful.
Al Michaels is great too.
Yeah.
And I don't listen.
I think Al's a little past his prime, and I've said this before, but I think what's his name, the Knicks broadcaster, TNT, who did the All-Star game? Marv Albert needs please someone let Marv Albert go to bed.
I don't.
Holy cow!
I don't listen to other team broadcasts, so I couldn't tell you any other team broadcasts. I don't ever listen to them. So, and when I'm with League Pass or something, I just tune it out. I tune out the broadcast most of the time anyway, except for my own at IP. So, non-basketball question: Thai food or Korean? I would go Thai every time.
Korean, because I'm allergic to Thai food, and I also like Korean.
How can you be allergic to an entire kind of food?
There's peanuts and everything. Can't touch it.
Okay. All right, a quick one, and then one that we have to leave on that note. This comes from Ross. With 3 young kids in a pandemic and nowhere to go during a lockdown, the bathroom has become my only place to go to get a minute's peace. And even then, I'm usually interrupted by the kids to ask things ranging from, can I have some ice cream? Is there lava on the sun? Do you have a little place of zen? If so, where is it?
No. No, I don't. I mean, I'm fine.
Right.
We're in a 1-bedroom apartment. We like each other, so it's good, but there's not any. Yeah, I guess I like doing the dishes and listening to a podcast or music or something. I don't mind that.
For me, it's running. I used to work at this place when I worked late nights at YSP. I worked at this place during the day called FMQB. It's a radio industry magazine. But I would work till 2 a.m. the next night, or that night, and then the next morning I would come in like at 8 a.m. So to take a nap, I would do it in the bathroom. I would go to the bathroom and take like a 15-minute nap in there. Nobody ever said anything.
That's tough.
Finally, from Tyler. Hey guys, I've gotten a lot of ill-advised tattoos over the years, including Trust the Process scrawled across my hip in my friend's chicken scratch handwriting the night Ben was drafted. But I took it up a notch last week. I'll send you this photo, Mike. Attached is a photo of my Daryl Morey toe knuckle tattoos. Shout out to Ian Hornberger for doing this. I don't actually have any questions, but Mike, keep doing your sleepy-eyed, snarky thing, as I love it. Spike, I'm sorry I said you look like Macklemore on Twitter, but I stand by it. He sent me the picture, and on his toes, he has Daryl on DARYL YL on each toe on one foot, and then Maury on the other foot.
Wow.
Yeah. And he...
Interesting call.
Yeah.
Just a choice. I mean, it's a choice that he made.
Yep.
To put a guy's name, a guy who's maybe trying to fix email, put his name on his toes. That is not easily undone. So, look, not a tattoo guy. Just not a tattoo guy. If you're a guy that wants to put a person's name on your feet, then that's your choice, and you're allowed to do that. And I guess respect you for that choice.
All right. Well, it kind of sucks. Michael Bivens got held up in traffic, was not able to join us, was very apologetic. So hopefully we're able to schedule him next time. He was late.
Anytime.
Couldn't do it.
He's always welcome.
So, a Young Rock plug?
Young Rock, Tuesday. Come on. My episode. All episodes available on Hulu, NBC.com. It's 8 o'clock Tuesday night on NBC. And I wrote it. So watch the show.
I don't even remember what today is. Oh, it's Sunday, so this Tuesday's fine. Normally we don't do night on the weekends. That's why I was confused. So you're right.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
But the Sixers are good, and Embiid hopefully isn't injured that bad. It's a good time. And we had Selection Sunday that I'm very excited about. The tournament's coming. It's actually, if the Sixers do start struggling, I will be distracted nicely by the tournament. If they start to struggle without Embiid, that is a pretty good gift for me.
We have our big keynote speaker engagement on Friday.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Okay, yes, we're keynote speaking to a college.
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to go great.
Cal State Fullerton's Department of Modern Languages and Literatures, Mike and I keynote speaking on Friday.
I'm sure I'm going to be very valuable to their education.
This is a real thing. This is happening. Yeah, we'll post it on the pod on Saturday
Then I won't
and
fuck
on
with you.
video. So,
If you don't fuck with
all right,
me,
are you done with TTP?
Then I won't
Yeah.
fuck with you.
You know Lickface.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
if you don't fuck with me,
Then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
That's a plan B.